In my future classrooms, I would use Dash with other content areas. So I would teach it by itself separately or like with the technology teacher, and then find ways to incorporate it into their other lessons for math or science. And I found a website, um, and I'll share my screen. It's this Makerspace for Education website, and it like gives a nice intro into what Dash and Dot are, and there's some videos, and then all the way at the bottom there's different lessons and challenges. So there's a way to get Dash to solve math problems. So if you write an equation on a clipboard and code Dash to move playing cards to add to the right answer, I think that's a really creative way to get students to like get more engaged in math, because I know for me when I was a student it was really hard like getting into math and really liking it because I was not great at it, and this just makes it more interactive. And then there's an art challenge, so you can combine a lesson with the art teacher, or have students just do this for fun, just make a nice picture. Um, and then you can do a Dash and Dot story to try to make them talk to each other and have costumes, and you can record your own voice. I think this would be pretty interesting, like if students are writing their own stories, or they could do it with a story they read in class and try to decorate Dash and Dot and try to have them talk to each other. You could do this with little plays that they write about something they learned. I think there's a lot of really good uses for Dash besides just getting it to follow a path. I think the SAMR level of Dash really depends on how you're using it. So in that like introductory phase when you're just learning how to build the codes and get it to function however you want it, like make it move, make it talk, that's more in the substitution augmentation levels, because the students are just kind of following the directions, just trying to figure out how it works. But once they start incorporating it into other lessons, taking things they already know from different subjects and working with Dash to produce something, and they use their creativity and work really hard and collaborate with each other, that's when you get into the modification and redefinition phases. Um, I think Dash provides a really good opportunity for students to really push their learning forward and produce some really, really great work that will ultimately benefit them, not just in their technology classes, but in other content areas as well.
So I thought for Dash, yes, we could definitely use it in like any content area, as Sarah has talked about. But I thought about in the classroom, you could really use it to teach about like self-identity and creativity, and just really teaching about expressing themselves for art and whatnot. So something I found, for example, if you look here, see how like the students could design whatever they want, and then they could like code it to do certain things that revolve around that, and that would just teach students like about personality and how everyone's different and unique. And I think that's a good way to teach about that in the classroom. um, so for this example, it would be the redefinition level of SAMR. And I think a lot of things with Dash would be the redefinition level of SAMR, because students are creating and designing most of the time their own codes, or like in this example, their own like personality to their robot.
I do think Dash is fairly easy to use. It might help to have an introduction to working with coding blocks before working with Dash. So doing something like Scratch, where you just practice it on the computer just to know what the different functions mean and how to put code together and change the variables, might help. And then I know it's a little hard getting the robot to like move exactly as you want it. Um, but I do think kids can make some really, really great products with it. And I think the way to make it easiest to use is to encourage students to work through struggles. because it's not going to work the way you want it the first time, and maybe not even like the second or third time. You're going to have to start over sometimes and rework something, change your plans a little bit. But that's what STEM is all about. No one has invented something on the first try. No one's ever found a cure for a disease on the first try. Um, and it's important to remind students to think about what they learned through where mistakes happen and where they struggled a lot. We say this all the time in math that some of your best learning comes from your productive struggle, and that's important to bring those ideas over in to working with Dash. So I would rate the ease of use probably a 3. Dash is as useful as you want it to be. Um, so that really depends on the scale. If you get the materials and just play around with them once or twice and then let them sit on a shelf, then it's not useful at all. Like, what was the point of even really working with them? But if you get the Dash materials, you teach the students how to use them and then bring it into other content areas or give them space to explore with it, show you what they can do, then it goes all the way up to a 4.